This episode of the SWTOR Escape podcast is brought to you by our two other podcasts. Seema and I just published an awesome interview on our new podcast called Behind the Games. It's with Eduardo Weissman, the BAFTA nominated audio director for the Far Cry games at Ubisoft Toronto. It's a super cool interview. You can get that one on New Overlord's website or our YouTube channel, the one that you're might be probably watching right now. For my business tech podcast called Unevenly Distributed, I interviewed a friend of mine who's an innovation and startup executive for the company I used to work for, Avanade, and it's all about what is the metaverse. And that one's a little harder to find, but you can go to nexavise.com, nexavise.com, for all the links to that, including the YouTube channel and then Spotify, iTunes, and Stitcher. Thanks everybody for helping with subscribing, reviews, and comments, and telling all your friends. It's starting to grow. It's a kind of a big deal for us, and we really appreciate it. All right, let's start this real show. Star Wars Celebration was this past week, and we got some good Star Wars content announcements. Plus, there's some class balance news in the Dev Tracker. We talk about that and more on this episode of the SWTOR Escape podcast from newoverlords.com. Our broadcast hashtag today is EPC 427. And with me is my co-host, Seema. Hi, Seema. How's it going?
It's going great, and not to belabor a point, but Edward Weissman, aside from being a really interesting inputs and talking about audio for games, just an excellent person or a really cool person. So
yeah,
I really enjoyed that. Which actually doing that whole podcast behind the games is great to just be exposed to all the different people that are out there, and not the people that are. It just widens my view because it's people that I've never talked to before, which is great.
And it's some of the actual creators that are out there doing the work, and they're a little bit off the leash. We're not really asking about secret game information, so they're not bound by that as much, and it doesn't have to just be a community manager we're talking to. So it's really kind of cool. In fact, we're going to do one of those with BioWare here before long and put it both on that show and this show in the as soon as we can get one lined up. But I love that. It's just been so fun to get that thing going.
But, SWTOR related things. This week I've been working on, well, basically I've been doing my Galactic Seasons weeklies, even though I got to rank 100 in Galactic Seasons, just been continuing to do them because I want to get the 100 weeklies done, which I'm really close to. I have like maybe 2 more weeklies to do, which I may or may not do this week. I probably will. I probably won't be able to not do it. But I probably will do that this week. Still won't hit the rep target, which we've talked about before, but not giving up on that.
Still going to do it. It just won't be within the season, so we won't get the achievement for doing it within the season, but I'm still going to do it and finish it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I haven't done the math, but I'm pretty sure I have enough of the tokens to turn in rep, like basically forever at this point.
Right.
But yeah. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I haven't actually been playing in the swoop races. Have you, Max?
No, but it's been on my list. In fact, I meant to do it today, but I got distracted by something else. But yeah, no, I've got some things. I'm going to be doing it this weekend. I've got some things I need to finish up to get some of the achievements that I didn't get yet and the mounts. I don't have enough of the currency to get all of the mounts just yet, or maybe I do and just haven't bought them yet. There was a few things on my list that I needed to do with swoop races this week, so I'm glad that it's back. But I got to get on it because it's going to be gone by Monday or Tuesday again. That's what keeps happening.
Yes.
It's here.
Yeah, I got to double check too. I think I've done all the achievements, but I might not have done every chapter of the story part, which means if there's an achievement for that, then I guess I haven't done all the achievements.
Have you done all of the perfect race ones and things like that?
I did all those.
Yeah,
and
I remember you doing it.
The perfect one and the perfectly terrible one too.
Or where you hit all the mines or whatever, or you hit it.
Or I went through a period where I just relentlessly went after all those achievements.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and actually, I could stand to buy a few more mounts too because I haven't bought every level of the mounts. You know, like there's the
Right.
standard and then the extra. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So didn't officially do it, but turning it over to you. How was your week?
My week was excellent. Had some extra work putting those extra podcasts out. I am not good at that just yet. So, especially because both of those new podcasts have a significant video portion that gets produced afterwards and I cut in B-roll, so I have to do voice processing, then I do lining up all of the separate tracks into a session, and then I do some basic editing on the session, then I cut in a bunch of B-roll to spice it up to make it look interesting. And then there's an intro and an outro and
Is that like a kind of sushi when you say B-roll?
I will have 2 B-rolls. Yes, it's, but it not honeybees. It's, I'll have a honeybee roll. But so it took me a little bit extra time. That's been taking up some of my time. I was in SWTOR though, because you know what I got? And it's not here. What is that on the ground underneath me? That looks, I think something's clipping through. Yeah, there's a, I have spoken. There's, what are those guys called?
Ugnaughts.
There's a Ugnaught that's like half in the flooring there, doing something underneath the grill. That's weird. Eh,
He's standing on the floor for me.
Oh, maybe it's just something weird graphically for me. What I was looking for, which is not next to me right now, I got the Nerf calf because on Tuesday we were going after the Nerf calves. I had to leave a little bit early from MFN, so I didn't finish getting. And they don't the unique route or whatever we had to get on Voss for those
Hmm.
Nerf calves does not respawn very quickly. We thought they respawned quickly. It was like 45 minutes or an hour and they still hadn't respawned for me. So I bugged out, stayed there though, logged in the next day, got the route, got the pet. So I have that Voss Nerf.
I did the exact same thing, but on Hoth. So here's my Arctic Nerf calf.
Ah, you've got the
So
little.
yeah, I mean what Max is talking about is on MFN. We we tried to do these Nerf calves, and it's just we couldn't get everyone there because it took too long, like you said, for the thing to spawn that you need.
And I think mine was the Nightland Nerf calf. Yeah, there he is. That's the one I got.
Yep. So I did this exact same thing. I logged in the next day during coffee and contemplation, clicked an herb, then I had to thaw it because it was Hoth, and then I fed it to a lost Nerf calf and got this little guy.
Sweet. And if you get all the Nerf calves, you get the title and the achievement for that, which is Nerf Herder, which we all certainly would want in Star Wars. I like those. I like those old school references. So I was doing that in Star Wars. I didn't finish my swoop stuff. I'm going to do that. But then on the side, apparently Diablo Immortal is now out. It's kind of, is it beta on the PC but released on mobile? I wasn't clear on that. Anyway, I tried it on both. I expected to like it on PC and not like it on the iPad, and it's vice versa for me. I'm really surprised. I don't typically like action RPG type games on an iPad or a phone. And besides it being awkward to hold and cramping my fingers trying to do the controls, I'm even getting used to that a little bit. Besides that, if it was easier to control or easier to hold, if I could reposition the right hand to control a little bit better, it's kind of fun. Diablo's always fun because you're just running around and you just shoot everything, blow up everything, pound, 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 big explosions, and then you tons and tons of loot, flying all over the air. And they make you feel powerful right out of the gate. You know, giant demon comes out of the ground, but you're powerful enough at the very first minute you're in the game to zap it in the face and run around it and blow it up and explode it. So there's
So
no
what's
like
it? So what is it like doing that though on the iPad? Are you touching the screen and like touching buttons to shoot things
your
and
left thumb, your left thumb goes on the left side of the screen, and that you can move around. But then as you press in with your thumb, and then you slide your thumb up or down or left or right like a joystick, and that makes your character run around. So that makes you
interesting?
run left, right, up and down. And then
That
on
sounds
the
like that seems like it could get pretty intuitive pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is relatively intuitive. it's hard when you have to make precise movements like stepping out of circles and there's things going down for me at least, but that you get better and better at. And then on the right, there's only 5 abilities. So you have a larger button for your main attack, and then around it in a little circular array, like moving your thumb around, are 4 smaller buttons, and you click one of those. Sometimes you need to like click and slide a little bit, so in case it's like a directional ability. So you click the button and slide it up, and then you'll shoot up, or you click the button, slide to the right, and your bone strike or whatever goes to the right. And I'm a necromancer, so I've got 2 skeletons, and then I added another ability that gives me another temporary skeleton caster. So I kind of let them do the work, and then it makes it even easier on the iPad. So I'm like level 25 or 26. I'm cleared a couple
It probably looks
areas.
pretty good on the iPad too, right?
It looks great on the iPad as opposed to the PC version, which feels like they grabbed the iPad version and like it doesn't even look as the graphics don't even look as good as the iPad version. It looks like it's like running in some sort of crappy emulation on the PC. The controls are janky and buggy. Like you're supposed to be able to left
Seems
click
like it should
to
be backwards.
right, it does. It seems like it should be much easier to control on the PC, but it's not. You're supposed to be able to left click to move and then right click to shoot, right? And right click also moves you, and there's nothing you can fix in the controls. And the controls say it's not supposed to. That you can do your keybinds. Spacebar is supposed to shoot also, but that also moves you. So wherever your mouse is pointing on the screen, as soon as you try to shoot an enemy, you go running off that way. So if you're ranged, you're suddenly like running into the face of everything that you're trying to shoot from range. If you're very careful and click only right on the mob, then you don't run off into it. But I think it's just buggy. I think they've got to fix some things up. But it doesn't look as good. It doesn't feel as good. So I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that's how it turned out. I don't expect to play it long term because the downside, and I know you're going to ask me about this, what is the upside? What's the downside? It does seem quite cash shop, loot box, battle. There's already a battle pass that's started, and the battle pass has the pay track, and uh, every
Okay, so Max, what is the downside?
cash shop, loot box, battle pass. There's like 50 million things. Like every 2 minutes something pops up. It's like, hey, pay money. Hey, you this looks good. Pay money. Hey, why don't you give us some money? So, in fact, it's banned in a few countries because it's got a little bit of a loot box
Mm-hmm.
effect associated with it.
Yeah.
And it sounded like at the higher levels, there was people were feeling it more and more. Again, I was just wanting to try it out to see if I would like it, see what it felt like, and I was surprised. I was surprised I like it so much on the iPad. I may still just play it randomly on the iPad because it's something I can just sit in a weird place that I don't usually sit at and do some like I could sit out on the porch or something
Yeah.
and do it.
Yeah.
I may just try it a little bit more because
Or,
of that.
in the waiting room at the car service place.
Right. Right, right, right.
Bring your iPad with you.
All right. So that is Max news, other game news, podcast news, what we've been doing news. Let's get into the Star Wars The Old Republic news.
The real news.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
So the big news in Star Wars: The Old Republic, although we're going to talk about Star Wars Celebrations separately, that's sort of going to be our segment. But the big news that hit the dev tracker, well, 2 pieces of the disappointing news and the big news. PTS is still not up, so that post did go up. Jackie said they tried to put the PTS up last week. So 2 weeks ago, Jackie said, "Hey, PTS is coming. PTS for 7.1." It was supposed to be up last week then at the latest, and then something broke. They've got some more development to do. They're fixing some problems with it, and it's still not up. I checked it earlier today, unfortunately. So that's not available to us. But what is available, which is what this is a post that went up in the forums for class balance. So class balance is coming. And not to bury the lead, You can see what I circled here. The the red circle in the middle of the screen. I skipped blah 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 blah. With 7-1 comes changes to blah 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 Marauders, blah blah Juggernauts, blah. Mercenaries. Mercenaries are getting a a buff. Mercenaries are getting buffed. Arsenal's back on the menu, boys. So
Gosh.
gosh, gosh. Look up if you don't know what we're referencing there. Look up orcs in Lord of the Rings, but with regular voices on YouTube. Just type in those words. It's just a couple dubbed over scenes with the orcs with regular voices instead of orc voices, and it's hilarious. Gosh. Meat's back on the menu, boys. Gosh. Anyway, mercenaries. Couple things that that caught my eye, and I've got all the things laid out here. We're gonna skip over, but I'll show you the screens for Muggernauts and Marauders and Snipers. But the start will be in 7.1, and future patches, though, for more balance is noted. So this will continue, but there are some significant updates coming for 7.1, and that's what's mostly detailed here. But they may do some more tweaking as it goes down the road. So don't think if your class, if you thought a couple things needed to be changed, that it's necessarily never going to happen. More may happen after 7.1. But they did say they were certainly focusing first on what needed adjustment most for 7.1, and Mercenaries Arsenal mercs are certainly on that list. This whole post and update was from Chris Durrell. He's a game designer. And it was great to hear from Chris. So thank you, Chris, for putting these notes out there. I think this is relevant to my interests and hopefully everyone else's interests as well. And hopefully we get to see it on the PTS any moment now, but not just yet. So let's...
Maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe 5 minutes after the podcast is done. Probably. Probably then.
Right.
If we don't see it in the next 12 hours because the podcast just finished, it's probably going to be next week right after the podcast.
That's right. There's a very brief window when it can come up, right? So also just talking about events for this week, we already mentioned swoop race is going on right now. So this week is a swoop race. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to get the Rakghoul Resurgence again, this time on Corellia. And then 2 weeks after that, it's the return of the Gree.
Yes, it is. Now back to the class balance discussion. Sorry, I wasn't ready to. I thought
we were gonna. Okay.
No, I was gonna go through it all. Do you know?
Oh, right.
Well,
Okay,
because I've got I want to talk about the mercenary, the healing changes to the mercenary, and then the mercenary arsenal changes, just for 2 minutes. I mean, we could skip over this stuff. Marauder, Sentinel, Bloodthirst, Inspiration not granted level 51. Who cares? Carnage, Combat, Blood Frenzy, blah blah blah. So who knows what's going on there? Somebody was gonna have to tell us. Fury, Concentration, get some. Oh, so there's some nerfs actually, because this was so high on the charts. Juggernaut Guardian is getting adjusted. So here, this is where the rubber meets the road for us. Arsenal's getting buffed. Increased crit damage by target tracking deadly cannon from 15 going up to 30. Increased crit chance from rotary cannon 5 to 10%. So they moved 4 levers in the main rotation for Arsenal. Hopefully that's going to balance that out and move us up the charts a little bit. Arsenal is a ranged burst discipline, so it's supposed to be at minus 5% of the average of the median of where the damage dealers fall. Melee, like if you're at melee and you're a dot spec, you're at plus 10%, or between 5 and 10% above average, and if you're burst, then you're between 5 and 8% below average. It's because you're supposed to have some penalty for having all the mobility and utility. Question I want to ask you though, so it's not this one, but it's in the next one, where they talk about sniper, gunslinger, saboteur, the tacticals. So Arsenal mercs are getting a new tactical called Unstable Fusion, which I haven't looked at too much, so I'll get to play with that on the PTS. It's doing elemental damage to 8 enemies within 8 meters, applying heat signature, and then they're vulnerable to rail shot, high impact bolt, and take additional damage from heat circuit missiles and demolition round. So I don't know if that's going to be better or worse than the superheated fuel or whatever I'm using now. But the bodyguard one, you said you looked at that, Seema. What was your point of
So
view on the
at
bodyguard
first,
tactical?
I wasn't, I wasn't, I wasn't. Why I was wondering why they brought back the old rocket fuel vapors, which is what this tactical is. It's called cold toll vapors now, but it's the same as the old rocket fuel vapors. And when I say old, I mean the the post nerf version, because the old one um, was very strong. But anyway, this one, um, and then I realized, maybe they're bringing it back for, you know, reasons that my first thing was like, well, why wouldn't they bring back my favorite one? So, but maybe this serves them in some purpose. What it does is it's useful in situations where you can get a lot of people in your AOE.
Well, what was your favorite one?
The one where it was called Running Restoration was one of them, and I don't know if we can still get that one, but it allowed me to cast one of my abilities while running.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything, I always take those utilities, the ones where you get to cast one of your main channeled abilities while moving, which is clutch. So I could see that being useful. So we'll see. They've put some tacticals in. Was it here or on the previous page? They said something about the tacticals which I didn't like also,
Right.
which
I figured
was
you wouldn't like that. Yeah.
the one where where he said, "Oh, but we're not going to be adding more tacticals, so don't think that we are."
Right. I
Oh yeah, here it is.
I appreciate him saying that in case we would infer
I know,
that they
it
were
makes
going to
it clear.
be.
So it's
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
good to know. So here it is. Our
But I wish
intention,
they were making more.
right,
Yeah.
right. Our intention isn't to introduce. How does what was his name? Chris. I think he talks like this. Our intention isn't to introduce new tactical items at a steady cadence into the future. Um, I think
Of course
I think that's how he
of
talks.
course he does. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but you're right. You knew what I would say, which is why not? Why not introduce
Yeah.
new tacticals? I know they're using tacticals as a bit of balance. So
Right.
if
They're using them more like a set bonus.
yeah, they're using it as a set bonus, and they're using it, and in doing that, they need to be careful about balance. Tune them down, but make them more cosmetic and dramatic and fun. And then you don't have to worry about them as much from tuned from a a balance perspective. Because if they're
But
tuned
you
from
know
a
how
balance
I'm
perspective, then I have to pick the one that's right for the thing that I'm doing, and I just have to just use. Then it's just go get the one. And what fun is that? Then
right.
it's just another set
Right.
bonus. It's just the same thing as the implants right now. So the implants are go get the one. This is the implant for your discipline, and here's the tactical. What fun is that?
Yeah. I agree.
Why not
I
just
do think
make it part of the
I do think
class?
they will continue to introduce new tacticals that are not combat related. I hope they mean to do that. Like the ones from the swoop race, for instance.
I hope they should. That would be great.
Yeah.
Do more. Do that. If you're listening, if anyone is listening, if anyone out there is listening, do that. Do what Seema said. Oop, went ahead a little bit too quickly. Let's go through guild and community news because we do have a couple things there.
Yeah, I
Uh,
just want to. Yeah, BC asked us to mention, and actually, this is a good idea. This coming Tuesday on MFM, we're targeting an operation. So if you've been wanting to do an operation, maybe you've never done one before, that's our favorite kind of person to come to these. Come join us on Tuesday night, and because we're aiming to do an operation, we do them fairly often, but just want to make a note that this Tuesday is going to be one of those offens.
yes, that sounds awesome. And bring your tank because then I don't have to tank. No, I will tank. I always bring my tank gear. I always have it in my bag. And about the last 3 or 4 times we've done an operation, I'm all arsenaled up or plasma tech equipped. And then BC goes, anybody a tank? And I take one step backwards,
Step back.
and then nobody pipes up, and I go, well, I brought my gear. Let me saddle up, suit up. But that's fine. I will always tank for an MFN. And then I always have fun when I tank. So I don't know why I'm reluctant to do it, because I always have fun. It allows me to be in control of the pace a little bit, which I kind of have fun doing on an MFN, and sort of take the lead from a navigation and pacing perspective, which that's always fun. Also in guild and community news, we have open opportunities, and I think 2 of our raid teams still. This is what came up last week. I didn't confirm this week that either of these were filled, but even if they are filled, you have the potential to jump in on these or any of other ops teams other nights as a substitute. But I think they still have at least one spot on the Sunday and the Monday ops teams. And Sunday is
Imp side.
Imp side, and Monday is Republic side.
Yeah.
So both of those are around 7:30 p.m. Central on each of those nights respectively. Jump in aie-guild.org. The Discord link is in the upper right of our guild website. Click on it, go into the SWTOR channels, say, hey, I would like to try it out. You don't have to commit. It's not some big commitment. If you just want to jump in there, like, hey, I'll help you out. If you need somebody on Sunday, I'll sub in. You can ride along a couple times. You could just jump in their Discord with them and listen to them chat in voice while you do something else. And check it out. It's a great way to just see how they roll, see if it's a comfortable fit for you, and see if you want to jump in permanently. That would be great. Shout out to the chat room. We've got a couple Australians that have been helping us understand. The key question in the pre-show was, how many times were they poisoned by the wildlife today so far? So if you are also in Australia and you have an answer to that question, that's more interesting than Zen's 0 today. then let us know, and that would be cool to hear about as well. And we will catch up with all of you in the chat room in the post show. Really appreciate you all being in there and helping us out, making us sound smart when we get things wrong, and keeping us happy and busy while we watch the chat channel go by while we're trying to talk. And that's what makes me screw up pretty often in a fun way. But now we wanted to talk about, even though I didn't get to go this year, but I have gone in the past, Star Wars Celebration.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Many Bothans died. Mon Mothma actually came up and showed up, and we'll see it actually. That's who says this. Many Bothans died. That's Mon Mothma, and she shows up in one of the trailers. Did you catch that, Seema?
No, I did not.
I will have to show you because, oh no, chat room is talking about a new breed of spiders. Freezes your blood as you end. This is.
I assume they're in Australia.
Is that in Diablo Immortal or Australia? Because they're both about equal in breeds of dangerous wildlife. So yeah. Star Wars Celebration. Oh, here we go. I even got a picture here for you. Star Wars Celebration 2022. I heard 2023 is going to be in London. London in 2023. That sound April of 2023 in London. That sounds, as my friends from the UK would say, that sounds lovely. I would love to do that. London's one of my favorite cities in the world of cities to go visit, and England as a country is one of my favorite countries to go visit. I wanted to give a rundown. Shout out to Gizmodo, who is where I got most of this from, but there's a bunch of websites out there that were like, here's the top 5 announcements. So this is mostly going to be about the big announcements that came out, and I have some of the trailers for the things that came out, so we'll go through all of it. But I also have some community and some SWTOR cosplay and pictures and photos at the end, so we'll get to that too. But yeah, it looked like a good Star Wars Celebration, good as ever. And boy, it is continues to be a moment for Star Wars, doesn't it? Disney is really hitting it hard in a really interesting way. And this is where I wanted to start the conversation and get your take on this as well, Seema, especially as after I watched earlier tonight the third episode of Obi-Wan. We're not going to spoil anything current, but you don't have to worry about that. But I will talk about the tone of some of these things. Because there's so much content, I think they're at an interesting place with the way they're treating the Star Wars universe right now, universe of content right now, in that there's some very adult stuff that's being done in some of these sets, in some of these areas of Star Wars, and there's some very youth stuff, and there's some very like family, middle of the road stuff that's being done, and everyone that's consuming it, especially parents that are looking to allow their kids to consume Star Wars content, I think needs to be careful because it's not just, hey, here's $10, go see a Star War. It's different. There's stuff that little kids should Star Wars stuff that little kids should potentially not see. And there's little kid stuff that adults are potentially going to be bored with. And then there's a lot of stuff that's got a lot of great crossover and is in between. And in the crossover category, I'll take something that you mentioned, Seema, which I agree is really good for both the littlest to the biggest, which is something like the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
How much of Obi-Wan have you watched so far?
Two episodes.
So you watched 2 episodes, but you watched all of Boba Fett, right?
Yep.
So Boba Fett was some of this, and I think it even goes a little bit darker in my view in Obi-Wan. The tone, the adultness of the tone, and here I've got up on the screen, and maybe I'll just play it quietly while we're talking. But the Andor trailer, which I think is going to go even further in that, not necessarily like violence and sex, but adult themes, some more violence, and it feels to me like Andor is going to be really focused on like politics and intrigue and and some violence and rebellion and things like that, which is I think you're going to lose the little kid audience. So what's your view on that, Seema? Where do you fall? Does this seem
So
right?
when I was watching the teaser for Andor, I thought, "Oh, this looks like a really cool show. I would watch this." But at the same time, it's it's yet another piece of not necessarily the Skywalker saga because it's different people, but it's the events leading up to Rogue One, which
Yes.
were the events leading up to A New Hope.
Yes.
And I'm sort of like, I don't know. I don't Star Wars media is in a weird place for me right now. Sort of like I almost don't want them just rehashing the same story over and over again or just giving us more details about little pieces of the story. But at the same time, I'm not sure I want a whole bunch of High Republic either, of brand new stuff. So I don't know. They're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't right now. But
Right.
I did enjoy Obi-Wan.
Yes. I'm enjoying it so far.
I had misgivings about that too. The exact same misgivings. So maybe I'm wrong and I'll get sucked into Andor and I will love it.
Your commentary on Andor, I thought really nailed it home for me. That's Mon Mothma. Oh, go back. That's Mon Mothma. Many Bothans died.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Isn't that Mon Mothma? Chat room, tell me I'm a stinking liar.
It would certainly make sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. But yeah, I like that. From the people that brought you the story the story of what happens leading up to A New Hope. We now have the story that leads up to the story that leads up to A New Hope. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
That's what this is. I don't mind though
I love that guy.
this if it's going to be sort of like the politics and the intrigue, and I think it could be as long as it doesn't connect too directly to the Rogue One, which I don't think it does. If it's not, at least it's not like the same characters leading right into the like this ends
You're
where
right.
Rogue One
You're
starts.
right. Yeah, and it might like just looking at the trailer, it looks fantastic, and the cast looks fantastic. The look of it, the costumes, and that shot with the elevators, it
Yeah,
might be great.
it might. But it is one of those ones, that one in particular, that is not really a kid's one. So here, now the next one will go to what I was talking about of like the middle cross generational. Some adults may at first glance think this is more like a kid's show. It's an animated series, a cartoon, The Bad Batch. This got a season 2 announced at I gotta mute these every time they start. This got a season 2 announced during Celebration, but this has enough in it. This is like one of those animated series that is serious enough and tells enough of a good story and has good enough characters with enough depth, I think, that this really crosses over.
Yeah,
And
see, I got sucked into Bad Batch 2, and
yeah,
it has all
as
the
well. Yeah.
things going for it that I just said, you know, wouldn't interest me about Andor. So, yeah,
Right.
unpredictable.
Right. It's right. It's still a, it's still a prequel story. It's still a, a story leading
Yeah.
up to a story. Or it's a story in between. Yet it's really kind of like outside the mainstream. And again, I think
Yes,
that's what makes it okay. It's
I
not
think
another
that helps.
Skywalker story.
Right.
Now
Like
Obi-Wan is though, but that's doing okay. So
with Bad Batch, I don't feel like I necessarily already know the ending.
right, right, because anything could happen.
Right.
Yeah, Obi-Wan is walking the line for me because it is member berries. It is the story leading up to the story, and it's all it's right in the middle of the characters that are happening there between episode 3 and episode 4. So, between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, it walks the line. I think it's doing a good job so far, but it does walk that line for me to some degree.
Yeah, they're saying in the chat room is as they flesh the stuff out more, there's like a fear of stuff getting either inaccurately done or retconning older stuff and making bigger holes or worse holes in the plot lines, and I think that's a valid
I think it's
fear.
certainly valid. I think it's certainly valid, and I think there will be moments when that will happen. I will say that, and I will say no more. Say no more. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Say no more. Wink's as good as a nudge to a wink's as good as a nod to a blind man. Uh, uh, let's skip over this one for a second, and then we'll come back. Skip over this one too. I wanted to get to this because this was the third category that I was talking about in terms of the content of where Star Wars is diverging into types of content. So a third type of content that was announced is really a kid's adventures, what it sounds like. So this is like Disney Junior content, Young Jedi Adventures. It's set in the High Republic era. So this is High Republic content, but it's an animated series. So it's the original series following the younglings as they study the ways of the Force and become Jedi. Compassion, self-discipline, and teamwork, and patience and friendship. The Force is friendship. Young Jedi Adventures is coming to Disney Plus and Disney Junior, spring of 2023. And it's got, the cutesy, bubbly letters, Young Jedi Adventures. The vibe I get from this is going to be a kid's show. So again, and I don't think that this is wrong in any way. And I'm not saying I don't want kids in my Star Wars. I think it's just an interesting position that how they've bifurcated or trifurcated or multifurcated the the Star Wars multiverse at this point, that they have these various sets of content tracks, and you're going to need to be careful about where you go and where you let your kids go if you're a parent, because it may or may not be for them. It's not just a Star Wars and the Star Wars anymore. And that's what I meant by this.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
just gonna say, I mean, if you're a parent and you saw Rogue One, then you already know Andor might not be for your kids. So I was just gonna connect that up a little bit. That's all.
When I walk down the street with my kids, it's apparent I'm a parent.
Oh my God.
And that was a parent joke. Apparently, it's a parent joke. Okay, so there's that. Check it out. One other point to mention on this, which I really think is fascinating thing to think about, is the generational aspects of what Star Wars has become across pop culture for decades and generations now. So the 70s, the people that grew up with the first 3 movies, that was one generation. There's you go to like the millennials, and slightly younger, grew up with the prequel trilogy. They
Right.
grew up with that, and that was their Star Wars moment. And they look back, that crew, that generation looks back fondly on those movies for all their flaws and everything. They look back fondly because that was their Star Wars moment.
Mm-hmm.
You now have another young generation, sort of like the Gen Z, or what is it? I think it's called, I think it's going to be called Gen Alpha.
An alpha, yeah.
But it's mostly Gen Z right now that has the 3 sequel trilogies with Rey and Kylo, and that's their moment. And then the Young Jedi is going to be Gen Alpha. This is going to be their Star Wars moment, and it'll go on. So I think that that's fascinating to have
Yeah, I do too.
this long spanning sets of content in these large generational chunks that expose new generations and facilitates the kind of arguments for what's the best Star Wars movie. And there's not a right answer to that question, by the way. And we all need to realize this. And you will
Right.
get generational differences. I bet if you plotted the number of people that pick a certain movie by generation, by age, you would find their distribution falling and matching up with, in general, on average, trending towards their bell curve, centering around the ones where that they grew up with, that were introduced when they were sort of in that formative years age, which is cool. It's pretty amazing. I think that's fascinating. Fascinating to me. Okay, now a couple other things wanted to hit on here. This Jedi Survivor. So this is, what's this guy's name? Kyle?
Jude Law.
No, that's the next one.
Oh no, that's
Skeleton Crew.
the show.
This is
yeah.
the video game. So there's a sequel to the Jedi blah blah blah. I forgot what it's called. Game. I actually didn't play this game, and I've been meaning to, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna play it. It's both supposed to have a good story. We did get the little robot from here as a pet in SWTOR, but I liked the trailer. The trailer had a good vibe to it, and everybody likes this dude, Kyle. Chat room, what is this guy's name? It's not Kyle, and it's not Kylo. Anyway, Kyle, the Jedi dude, he's back, and he's got some news. Cal. All right, that was close. Cal. So Kyle is back, and he's got some new story, and the trailer looks pretty interesting and dramatic, and I'm gonna want to check it out. And it makes me, seeing this trailer makes me want to play the original game, and I'm going to.
Yeah.
Jedi Survivor. So Survivor's the sequel. Jedi Survivor coming 2023. So I've got a year to play, or 6 months
Number
at least,
5 alive.
to play Fallen Order. That was the last one. Jedi Fallen
Yeah.
Order with Kyle. And then, as you got to, because it's Jala, as my kids call him. Jala. Hey, that's the movie with Jala in it. I don't know why they say that, but that's what they say. Skeleton Crew. I didn't catch too much about this. Did you catch this,
No,
besides it being a
no.
Jala
I don't
property?
think there is much about it. Yeah.
All right. What does it say? A new Disney Plus original series that will launch in 2023 and star Jala Created by Spider-Man No Way Home's John Watts and Christopher Ford, Star Wars Skeleton Crew will follow a group of 10-year-old kids from a small planet who get lost in that galaxy far, far away and must try to find their way home. Is this animated and he's voicing in it, or is he like going to be in it with a bunch of kids? Story will take place after Return of the Jedi and will fit within the timeline of The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Chat room, did anyone else hear anything else about this? Is this an animated or live action? Is Jalal in it as a voice or as...
I mean, weirdly, I like Jude Law, and I actually love this picture of him too.
This is a great picture. Man, this
But
is how you can tell he's a movie star.
yeah, but I have seen him in movies before where he interacted with kids, and it was awkward.
He
It
is
was
not...
awkward.
Right.
So
Exactly.
maybe it will be animated.
Maybe it's animated and he's like the bad guy. Or maybe
I
it's live action and he's the bad guy. He could be like some Sith Lord or something.
Well, if it's like a group of 10-year-old kids does not fit with the name Skeleton Crew, and even the way the font is for Skeleton Crew seems kind of almost menacing.
It's yeah, but it could be like a tween show. If
Yeah.
Young Jedi is like a little kid show, this could be like a tween show.
Yeah, absolutely, it could be.
And they could be trying to make it like cool. Maybe it could be like that swoop bike gang, like a little like the swoop bike gang before they got their swoop bikes and got so edgy. I like that swoop bike game. Jalal.
I hope it's like Bad Batch, where each one of them has their special talent. Like each of the 10 kids, like one's really smart and one's really artistic and one can pick any lock and
Like
one
that
can
episode
win any
of
fight.
Rick and Morty when it had all of the Mortys, and the one Morty was like, yeah, and then they were like, and Fat Morty over here, Fat Morty, I thought I was left-handed Morty. No, maybe you should use your left hand, eat more vegetables. That's what they said to him.
I like how there's an example from Rick and Morty for basically every point that ever comes up.
So maybe they could all be clones. They could all be of the little, what's the little girl from
Yeah,
Bad Batch,
yeah,
Andromedas or whatever?
yeah,
They could all be
yeah, they
clones,
could,
but
yeah.
like Bad Batch style, where each one, they could be like the little fat, little fat clone. But they could call them left-handed clone. Skeleton is as in the minimum. Well, yeah, but a group of 10-year-old kids. I got that wrong. I thought it was a group of 10 kids. I was like, that's gonna be kind of a big cast. That's not gonna work
No,
out very well.
10-year-old kids, yeah.
What is this? What is this? Eternals? That was
Plausible Denial says they're a crew of skeleton kids that need food.
Please. Oh.
Yes, Omega is the girl in Bad Batch.
Omega. Yep, it's Omega. Did I call her Andromeda? I'm getting all the names wrong. What was Tom Hanks's character in Saturday Night Live when he was the pumpkins guy? I went Skeleton Kids.
Tommy
and then
Pumpkin or something like that.
I'm Johnny Pumpkins.
Yeah, Johnny Pumpkin.
I want Tom Hanks as Johnny Pumpkins and a bunch of skeleton kids in a Star Wars show. I'm Johnny Pumpkins. Got a problem with that? Or whatever he says. Look that up.
I don't know what he says, but
Tangent
yes.
alert. No, that's on topic. Look, chat room's trying to reel us back in. Okay. To reel us back in, Mandalorian Season 3 was at least teased. They did a panel on it. And guess who gets up on stage? Which I am very, very happy about.
Yes.
Katie Sackhoff.
That must have been a great moment.
I am a huge Katie Sackhoff fan of everything she's done. Well, most things she's done. She's in that one show that everybody hates that I haven't watched because everybody hates it. I don't know how that is. But ever since the Battlestar Galactica days, just her acting.
Are you talking about Longmire?
No, it's a sci-fi show where they're like in space and something goes wrong in space and they're on a long journey and they're in space.
Okay.
And nobody likes it and everybody thinks it's terrible. But her in Mandalorian as Bo-Katan, she was spot on in the live action version representation of what I thought Bo-Katan should be. And I certainly wanted to see more. And I'm glad we're going to. And her quote from the panel was, "You didn't think you'd get rid of me that easy, did ya? I may have some unfinished business," which we would expect because that's her arc, which is trying to bring back Mandalore and both the people and the planet and her destiny, which she felt and failed at, was to lead Mandalore. I would love to see that happen. Oh, I got off my screen. You guys gotta remind. There we go. You gotta remind me when I you gotta flip back and forth between my screens. I got too many things. I've got four or five screens in front of me. So see here, this is it. There's nothing. It's just still pictures anyway. So yes, and then Grogu. Apparently, there was some side discussion where the show creators were talking about, will Grogu continue to sort of be central to Mandalorian? And I think at this point we both speculated, and I think can confirm. Try not to be too spoilery, but just from other things we've seen that Grogu's certainly going to continue to be centric.
It does seem like it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that was sort of a side thing that was mentioned, I only mention it because I watched a couple of them and really liked it. I haven't watched the rest of them, but certainly will because this reminds me that they're out there. I got to have some sort of cue. Again, there's too many services. There's too many things. No, just quit it. Stop it. Just merge all the social networks, merge all of the streaming services. Just go back to when there was just Netflix. Please, we just do that. Because what is this? I mean, where even is Visions? It's probably on Disney Plus, buried in one of their things, and they didn't like surface it back to me and say, "Hey, you stopped watching this, but you probably still like it. Maybe you want to go back and watch it again." So I really liked the anime style of the one episode. It was sort of like the samurai vision of Star Wars that was so well rendered as a style and a vision. I'm going to go back and watch more of this, but they said volume 2 streaming in spring 2023. Star Wars Visions is coming out as well. So much content. So much content.
Yeah. Yeah, when you were talking about the sort of generational layering of Star Wars, that's kind of one thing that Marvel hasn't done. Like Marvel has got, well, they did have that What If show, but it wasn't really some for young people and some for adults, et cetera, et cetera. But they have done like a scattergun where there's just like so much Marvel out there and so much in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they don't get all hung up on are they changing a story or not changing a story. But they haven't done this. There's
Right.
not. Yeah, this is really a blitz.
Yeah. And we're not done. So just to
Yeah.
sort of wrap it up, as
And Marvel's not necessarily done either.
Right,
I'm not a
right.
Marvel expert, but they might start coming out with like, on maybe they'll pick a streaming service or even have their own and start
or
their
like a
kids
kids
shows.
animated series, which they've done
Yeah.
like the young Marvel stuff, but this right here with the High Republic is the books and the comics and the books for adults and the books for the tweens and the books for the kids and the new generation of content coming around the High Republic has been very book oriented, and they did a ton of announcements of all this book content that's coming out for High Republic in addition to this one thing that we talked about, which was Young Jedi Adventures, the animated series. How long do you think, and I asked this question on Twitter, I think, how long do you think it'll be before we get a feature film in the High Republic era?
I don't know.
I think we will. I think we
Why
will by
don't we
2024.
why don't we have it already? Why haven't we heard about it already?
Well,
Why do they keep going like it's only going to be in books?
and why have they announced that some project is underway?
Yeah.
There was a couple announcements that a few of their key movie projects had been delayed because some of their chosen directors were finishing up other major projects and will be starting on some of the future work soon. So I think that might just be it. Just production
Like
schedules
maybe
were
they
delayed.
were putting the books and stuff out and they were just going to decide on a movie based on how well the books did. I don't know.
I don't know. So the chat room's debating between wanting High Republic movies and no High Republic movies. I think we're gonna get them. I think we're gonna get them regardless. They're gonna make Star Wars movies, and they gotta make them in some era. And if it's not,
I feel like, yeah, I feel like they've pretty much
yeah,
adopted the High Republic as but
because
then they keep making content for, the Skywalker time frame.
what's your name? Ray. Ray what? Ray Skywalker. Don't be Skywalker. We're done with Skywalker. You don't need to be Skywalker. Just don't. Why would you even want to be Skywalker? I mean, it's got a big downside in that family, just as bad as your own Palpatine family. They had the whole Darth Vader thing going on. You know, what is that? Like jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. Just be yourself, Ray. There you go. Little side rant. Ray, be yourself. All right. So tons of stuff and stuff around the edges. These are just these are just the high points. These are just the highlights of all of the content that got announced in the panels and the sort of the side commentary that was going on around all of the content that's coming. Disney they haven't broken anything yet, in my view. So I'm with them. Fine. Keep it rolling. Nothing has gone off the rails too far at this point. In fact, they've gotten some things back on the rails after they had a couple flaws. Solo didn't perform very well. The last 3 movies were mixed from a review perspective, although I'm sure they made their money back on them. They seem to have gotten some things back on the rails with these series. In fact, it reminded me, I think it was Boyega in particular, after the movies, made some offhand comment. Somebody asked him, "Are you going to be in like a series after this? And I think just he made a cheeky, practically off mic comment of, "They're not going to Disney Plus me." And now we've got Ewan McGregor, we've got Jalal, we've got Pedro Pascal, we've got all these awesome people, these awesome actors, A-list people out there doing this Disney Plus streaming content. I wonder if Boyega now is saying, maybe you can Disney Plus me. maybe just Disney Plus me a little bit. That wouldn't be too bad. Yeah. So I'm good with where they are going lately. In particular, I think they've gotten it back on the rails. Keep the train rolling. To wrap it up, I did want to talk about some of the cosplay and some of the Star Wars community stuff. So I did hit this, and then we'll show some of these are not SWTOR community people, but these were some great examples of cosplay that I just saw the Twitter feeds I wanted to grab. Fennec Shand, I think this is you got an outfit like this in SWTOR, don't you, Seema?
Mhm.
So if you were going to cosplay, you would dress up as Fennec Shand, I think.
If I could, yeah, that would be fantastic.
The
I don't think it
Cobb,
would look anything like that if I did.
the Cobb there on the right, I
That is
think
fantastic.
is killer. Is killer both from the outfit. It's an easy costume. It's an easy, nice, comfortable costume, and then the deal with the mask. This is tough at these shows lately. A lot of them are mask mandatory. Although I see people even in the background of all of these photos without masks. But to put the face on the mask, that was brilliant. That's really well done.
That's funny that you say that because my reaction was like, if you're not going to grow your own mustache, then I want to see the commitment, man. Grow the mustache. Don't just put it on a mask.
Well, this would be if it was mask mandatory. So maybe
Yeah,
he did. Maybe he
maybe he
did.
did. You're
And
right.
maybe he looks
Yeah,
exactly
I
like that.
hadn't thought of that until you said it.
It's the problem with these are the mask mandatory. I had that kind of problem. In fact, I took a whole bunch of video footage and I never put it up on the feeds of PAX East. I had to have a mask on the whole time. So even when I was trying to and I was trying to teach myself how to do it, do the walk and talk where I'm holding the camera out in front of me and I'm walking down the hallway. I'm talking about the things I'm seeing at PAX East. I may still produce that content at some point just for fun and put it out on our YouTube channel. But because you got the mask on the whole time, you're talking through your mask and nobody can see your face, and you got just your eyeballs in front of there. It's not good. It's not good content. But you'd put that mask on, and it's a thing, and you can walk around with your
Mhm.
costume, and it makes sense. Or you have a cosplay costume with a mask that's part of the costume. Like
I just love this
Bane.
cosplay because it's yes, you said it's comfortable and you can wear it to a show all day long, blah blah blah, and that's true and maybe easy to put together, but there's so many details in it that could be overlooked, and also it's just this guy looks like Timothy Oliphant, so he
Yeah.
took advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, he's maybe the only person who could pull this exact thing off because how many Star Wars fans also look like Timothy
Right.
Oliphant?
Lanky, little bit taller, a little bit lanky. He's
Right.
got the hair
And,
for it.
yep.
Yeah, it's great. Well, same with the other two.
Yeah.
Same
No,
with the,
you're
the
right.
girl in the middle in particular.
She does.
She looks like Gina. You know,
Yes, she
first
does.
first viewing on Twitter, I thought that was Gina, but Gina's sort of been ejected from the Star Wars universe lately. So
Circle.
go look
Yeah.
it up. Speaking of people being comfortable in their cosplay, look at this guy on the right here.
Yeah.
We got Charles, who we debated this. Does anyone know, is this a particular character, or did Charles just do a really cool kind of like, smuggler, Republic agent kind of cosplay of his own? It's obviously Star Wars. It fits well, but is it a person? Is it an actual character? I don't think it is. Regardless, he did a great job. And this, again, is the kind of cosplay that I really like. It's obviously Star Wars, but it's subtle with a ton of detail,
Yep.
super comfortable. You could walk around in it. I like it. Well done, Charles.
Yeah. And Charles's level of commitment is high, high, high.
Yes, so high. And on the left, that's Kogus, who brought his own Wookiee with with a roast porg. I kind of cut the Wookiee off on my.
Roast porg.
That's what that is on the stick.
Oh my
Oop,
god.
I just messed it up. Go back. It was the porg on a stick that the Wookiee was carrying around. Here, let's go. Let me show you that whole thing. I'm logged out of the game.
I mean, I knew it was meat of some sort. I just hadn't really put that together.
Oh yeah, no, that's obviously porg. But the Wookiee was obviously a good Wookiee costume. Uncrop. There we go. Hey, Wookiee. There's the Wookiee. Very well done. Very, very good Wookiee. And there's Kogus eating the porg. And then we had let's do this one, which is the BioWare crew. There's Jackie. Jackie. There's Charles. And then I forgot the other couple that were going to be there from the BioWare team.
Fred Newman.
Yeah, Fred. I thought it was only going to be 4. And we
Yeah.
obviously have 6 here. So maybe they were able to grab a couple other people and bring them along. But this is our BioWare team. Good to see them all there. And then we had some more community people, including SWTORista. So I don't know what the dress was, but maybe it's just maybe it's like an Aldron Noble thing. But the cape's got the custom artwork, community contributions all put together into a big sort of scene, a big mosaic of a bunch of the characters and cosplay and our cosmetic outfits. And she printed it out and put it on the cape and was wearing that around the show,
That's
which
really
is
creative. Yeah.
cool. So she's the princess of SWTOR. And then a bunch of others. So this was the cosplayers of the Old Republic. A bunch of other really good Old Republic cosplay. Some
Yep.
more community people all getting together. Some meet and greet stuff going on. That looked like it was a good time. And it is always a good time at Star Wars Celebration. I do miss it when I don't get to go. I've only been like once or twice, but did I even go twice, or was it just once? To the actual Star Wars Celebration. I think that might have only been just one. I guess I've been to like 3 cantinas, but I think it was only at one Star Wars celebration. Yeah, why am I talking like, oh, I go to these Star Wars celebration things all of the time? I was at one Star Wars celebration in Chicago.
But you would like to go to all of them.
But I would like to. I'm there in spirit. That's why I think about it that way. So yeah, cool, awesome stuff. That Star Wars celebration, ton of awesome content, ton of awesome fun to be had. No cantina this year, so we're gonna have to get 7.1 on the PTS. That's gonna have to be our cantina prize. If you ever get a chance to go, though, go to these kinds of things. It's really fun to see people from the community. You have something in common immediately as you sort of meet up with these groups. It's a fun time. Anything else before we wrap it up for the evening, Seema?
No. In fact, I probably like a year from now or whenever it comes out, I'll be like, oh, I really love Andor. And you'll be saying, but Seema, you weren't going to.
Right. You're going to hate it. Right now, write it down, chat room. Seema hates Star Wars.
I do not.
All right.
Well, kind of.
Seema doesn't hate Star Wars. She just hates people who like Star Wars.
No, especially not that.
All right. You know who doesn't hate Star Wars is EPC 427, who's getting kicked out an airlock to broadcast this podcast to all of you out there. So to keep from missing out, subscribe to New Overlords on YouTube and iTunes, and you can get the RSS feed on newoverlords.com and put it wherever you want in whatever podcatcher you want. You can find all the links and more, like Behind the Games podcast, on newoverlords.com. They're all going to our New Overlords YouTube channel as well. Follow me on Twitter at MaxTheGray, and I will keep you up to date on all of that stuff on this side. Follow me at Jeff Villamek and nexavize.com if you want all of the business tech side. For the Alea Iacta Est Guild on Starforge and in all the games that we play, like Diablo Immortal, which we might be getting a clan together if we can get the platinum for it. But we're obviously playing with it, and we got that going in our Discord, and we've got tons of Star Wars stuff every week, almost every night of the week, going on in our Discord and all of the other games. Check out aie-guild.org. The Discord link is in the upper right. Jump in there, jump into the Star Wars channel or in the LFO channel and say, hey, I would love an invite to your lovely guild that I have heard about, and put an @officer when you say that, and it'll ping a ton of people who are there to help you. We will get you in the guild. We'll get you connected to all of our teams. You can sub in on ops teams. You can come to our mandatory fun night. We would love to have you. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.